Hello and welcome to ProWildDev Circuit Board. Today we'll walk through the steps of building a PC. We will cover the parts you'll need, how to assemble them, and what comes first. If you're new at this, I recommend checking all your parts on PC Part Picker to make sure they're compatible. It's much easier to return an unopened package than deal with issues later. Now grab your screwdriver set and zip ties. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. First, let's start with the components you'll need. A screwdriver set for small parts, thermal paste for the CPU, tweezers for screws and wires, and a blade for cutting open the boxes. The motherboard is a central hub where all the other parts will connect. In this example, we're using ATX configuration using AM4 socket motherboard. RAM or memory is where the computer temporarily stores what it's currently processing. For the best results, it's recommended to use 2 sticks of RAM and at least 16 gigs for modern games. Next is storage. This example shows an M.2 drive which connects directly to the motherboard. Alternatively, you can use a SATA drive which requires SATA cables and are physically installed elsewhere in the case. The CPU is the brain of the computer, one of the most critical components and one of the smallest. In this example, we're using AMD CPU. The CPU cooler is attached on top of the CPU with thermal paste applied between the CPU and cooler. In this example, we're using an all-in-one cooler which requires the radiator to be screwed onto the case. The GPU is typically the largest and most expensive part, handling all video outputs. The power supply is what powers everything in your PC, and it should have enough headroom for future upgrades and efficiency. While bottlenecking is less of an issue than it used to be, it's still important not to pair a low-end CPU with a high-end GPU, as it could limit your GPU's potential and vice versa. Finally, you'll need a PC case to house everything. Make sure all components fit. Sites like PC Part Picker can help you check. This example is a mid-tower case. Now, let's get into the building process. The first step is installing the motherboard. Some motherboards come with an integrated I/O shield. However, this one doesn't, so we'll install the I/O shield first. Next, check where the screw holes in the motherboard align with the case, and install standoff screws if needed. Without them, the motherboard can short circuit. For the M.2 drive, remove the M.2 heat spreader. You need to align the notches on the M.2 drive with the slot on the motherboard. If the drive doesn't lie flat, you need to install a standoff screw on the motherboard to secure the drive and ensure it's properly positioned. Install the motherboard by angling the I/O side into the shield, lining it up with the standoff screws and securing it with the appropriate screws. In most cases, the AIO radiator is installed at the top of the PC case. For this example, you need to align it and screw it in from the outside. Some cases require the top cover to be removed for installation. If you're using a heatsink with side-mounted fans instead of an AIO, I recommend installing the RAM first. Next, install the CPU. This example uses an AM4 AMD Ryzen CPU, which still uses LGA, meaning that the pins are on the CPU itself. Be careful not to touch the pins, and align a triangle on the CPU with a triangle on the socket. The CPU should drop into place easily. Don't force it. Once the CPU is in place, add thermal paste in your preferred pattern and mount the AIO cooler to the CPU. In this case, it hooks onto the sides and screws in. Ensure that it's tight enough to create a good seal, but not so tight that it cracks the motherboard. For RAM, dual-channel memory typically goes into the first and third DIMM slots. Once aligned, you should hear a click as the RAM sticks lock into place. Installing the I/O cables is a tedious but essential step. Refer to your motherboard manual for the correct configuration. You may need tweezers to help with this part. If you're installing SATA drives, connect the SATA cable to the motherboard, then route the cable to your drive base. In this case, you'll need to secure the drives to the rails before mounting it. Now install the power supply unit. Thread the cables through the case to reach the components. Start with the motherboard power cable, then the CPU and GPU cables, and finally connecting the case fans. For the GPU, you'll need to remove the PCIe slot panels on the case. These will either need to be unscrewed or they may be breakaway panels. Insert the GPU into the PCIe slot on the motherboard and secure with screws. Once everything is plugged in, power on the PC. If it boots, connect the monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and proceed with installing your operating system. If there is an issue, check that all connections are secure and ensure that power switch on the back of your PSU is flipped on. In this case, we'll use the Windows Media Creation tool to install Windows 10. After confirming everything works, you can tie out the cables for better airflow and easier cleaning. Use zip ties for a cleaner, more organized look. And that's it for today's video. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions or thoughts, drop them in the comments below. And if you're looking for more content, Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video, where we will dive into using RGB in your builds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.